So, we're back again, talking some hockey in a rather quick video, or at least, I hope, still on tour at the girlfriend's, hence the different look, but you gotta bring the Bruins blanket even when you go on tour. Anyway, first round action for the Stanley Cup playoffs comes to a close. We now have the stage set for the second round, and I didn't give a full-on prediction because of the reseeded nature of it. I'm just like, I just want to go with the first round. At this point, I want to talk a little bit about what the first round was and give my predictions for the second round series. And we are going to kick things off. Let's kick things off at the top there with Vegas and Vancouver. Now, Vegas, no real surprise, handled the Chicago Blackhawks. Respect what Chicago did, taking out Edmonton, but they went about as far as they were going to go. Has Corey Crawford played his last game? Potentially. You know, we still saw some flashes of Corey Crawford and what he once was and can still be on occasion. I gotta be honest, though, with his injuries and the health concerns, like, Corey just can... I mean, you never want to tell a professional athlete to retire, but he's had one hell of a career. He's got nothing left to prove, is the point. And Chicago, in general, some bright spots. You could argue, would you have rather eliminated Edmonton and had that chance for one more run, or had a better chance at a higher draft pick? What would have been more beneficial to the Blackhawks at this point in time? It's tough to say. But Vegas wins that series as they should have, whereas Vancouver, now I picked the favorites basically in every series except for Vancouver and St. Louis, or at least the higher seed, because I said in my first round prediction video that I could see every series going any way. Even Chicago over Vegas, I could have seen it. With Vancouver, though, I outright picked them. And it's just kind of the trend of defending Stanley Cup champions seem to lose in the first round. The next year happens a lot. It's happened to the Bruins. It's happened to the Hawks. It just kind of happens. Happened to Washington last year, to Carolina. So I was, kind of having that in the back of my mind on the betting front. But there was something about St. Louis where I'm just like, I just don't know. I mean, yeah, you got Tarasenko back, but it's like, okay, is he 100%? The goaltending... for anyone who's like, you have no reason to doubt Jordan Binnington anymore. Hey, is what it is. He won last year. I give him credit for that. But holy shit, did Jordan Binnington absolutely suck this postseason. It was really, as much as I give Craig Berube shit, because I think it's hilarious that a former enforcer whined to the referees about how the officiating was going in last year's postseason, especially in last year's final. I think it's hilarious, but he was really in a lose-lose situation. You go with Jake Allen in that next game, in the ultimately series-deciding game, and you get to sit there and hear, well, why didn't you go with Binnington? He won you the cup last year. You go with Binnington... And then it's, well, you stuck with Binnington for too long. Unless, you pull Binnington after a goal or two, in which case it's, oh, well, why didn't you just play Jake Allen? So, really a lose-lose situation for Berube there. But there was just something about this Canucks team where it felt like they'd have a little bit more gas in the tank. And ultimately they did. And it looked really, really good. So, you look at these two teams... Yet again, Vegas is the favorite, a well-oiled machine, but yet again I look at this series and I say, who's going to win this one? I have no goddamn idea. It should be Vegas. If I had to bet, I'd probably bet on Vegas, but Vancouver could absolutely win this series. I mean, if Markstrom continues to play at a high level, if you have the young guns for the Canucks continue to step up, I mean, shit, even Louis Eriksson's getting involved at this point. It could work out for them. Obviously, with Vegas, the talk today is Alan Walsh, Marc-Andre Fleury's agent, going off on his own and doing some very interesting tweeting today. Which, you know what, we'll just go ahead and Alan Walsh. That right there is going to be very interesting to see how that affects the team. Also, good tweet from Grav. If you guys haven't followed Grav, by the way, hell of a YouTuber. That kid's got a future. Point being here, I mean, if there's something that could disrupt the Vegas Golden Knights, it's this tweet right here, where, hey, you know what, you're an agent. You're supposed to represent and try to get the best for your player in Marc-Andre Fleury, who is apparently being murdered by Peter DeBoer. But at the very least, if you are Vegas, you do have two starting caliber goalies at your disposal. I'm going to side with Vegas on this one. because I don't like picking an upset just for the sake of picking an upset. Vegas is the better team. In my mind, they should win the series. Vancouver absolutely can win this series, though, which is the point here. So I am very intrigued to watch that series. And we'll stay in the West. Colorado and Dallas, which actually starts tonight. It actually will be started by the time you guys are watching this, I'm sure. Again, a series where either team can win. Colorado, Arizona gave them trouble for a little bit, and then they just said, okay, we're tired of you, and dispatched of the Arizona Coyotes. And for Dallas, you survive a series against Calgary, which, that final elimination game was interesting. For me, again, you look at these two teams, and it's like, okay, Dallas at times struggles for offense, but if Tyler Seguin gets going, then who's to say? Defensively, it's like, okay, you have Cale Makar and Sam Girard, but Miro Heiskanen has been amazing so far. And then goaltending-wise, Bishop and Grubauer. Again, every single matchup still could go either way. I think at this point, I'd have to side with Colorado, simply because with Dallas, you're kind of in Nashville territory, where for a couple years now with Dallas, it's been, okay, here you go, right? This is your year to make a deep run, and they just haven't. So I can't bet on Dallas until they prove to me that they're worth betting on, but they could easily win this series. Especially, too, if the star players play to that level that they can. You bring in someone like Joe Pavelski as well, who's, proven in the playoffs at times. So I'm very intrigued to watch this series in Game 1 here tonight. But I think I'm going to have to side with Colorado for this second-round matchup. We move over to the East, Philadelphia and the New York Islanders. Montreal, hell, I gave you props for knocking out Pittsburgh, props for hanging in there with Philadelphia. Obviously some controversial moments, Matt Niskanen taking out Brendan Gallagher and such. I've said it before, I have no problem saying it either. Montreal, yeah, they do have a future. They do. It's undeniable. We'll see if they live up to that potential. But for Philadelphia, it really does just feel like their time is now. It felt that way before the pause, and it still feels that way now. But the New York Islanders are a super interesting team. They knock out Washington in convincing fashion. Barry Trotz is perfect for this team. I don't know what it is, but Barry Trotz is just perfect for this team, where the assets that the Islanders have, the players that they have, the style that the majority of them play, it just works defensively. And yeah, it might not at times be the most exciting hockey to watch, a defense-first style in 2020, but it works. And again, I say, either team could win this series. The Flyers are the favorites. If I had to bet, I'd probably choose the Flyers. But at the end of the day, the New York Islanders are incredibly dangerous. And if you were to tell me that the New York Islanders are going to win the Stanley Cup this season, I would believe you. Semyon Varlamov playing the way he is behind that defense that's so structured, and with Barry Trotz, one of the best coaches in the league. If you have him as the best coach in the league, I don't know if I can disagree. Top 3? Don't know if I can disagree. Top 5? I certainly couldn't disagree. Barry Trotz is an amazing head coach. You have to wonder where the Washington Capitals would have been over the past 2 seasons if they held on to Barry Trotz, but that is an entirely different story. I would again probably side with Philadelphia. That said, there is a difference between who I'm rooting for. Oh, actually, not really, I guess. I'm rooting for Vegas over Vancouver. Sorry, Canucks fans. It has nothing to do with 2011. I'm rooting for Colorado over Dallas. It has everything to do with Colorado. Colorado's essentially my second team. Ray Bourque, Peter Forsberg. How could they not have been? I am rooting for the Islanders over the Flyers. Kind of. I don't know. If the Flyers or Islanders win, there's going to be a lot of toxicity on the internet that doesn't involve me as a Bruins fan, so I get to sit from the outside and just watch as Flyers and Pens fans and Flyers and Rangers fans shit-talk each other. And then I'd also get to watch the same thing with the Islanders, but then Toronto would be involved because of Tavares, and I'm sorry, I don't wish that on Leafs fans, but that would just be so fun to watch heading into, not even September, but heading into, October, November, while we wait for the new season to start in December. So I'm going to go with Philadelphia on that one, but the Islanders could certainly win. And then Tampa and Boston. Look, are the Bruins up against it? Yeah. Tampa gets their revenge. They beat Columbus. They do so convincingly outside of that phenomenal Game 1. Again, you talk about one of the best coaches in the league, John Tortorella, just goddamn what he was able to get out of that Blue Jackets team. Obviously pushed them a little bit further than they probably should have been able to go. With who they lost. I mean, say what you want about Bobrovsky, but you lose Artemi Panarin, you lose some other decent pieces there. They got a lot out of that roster, but the future's bright. I mean, say what you want about no calls against Pierre-Luc Dubois, but he's still one hell of a young player. And you look back to the draft where Jarmo Kekalainen took Dubois over Jesse Puljujärvi, and everyone's like, what the fuck? And also, what does he know, not taking the young Finnish kid? Turns out he knew what was best, because goddamn, Pierre-Luc Dubois has real star potential in this league. And obviously you look at, say, Tessier and Foudy. The future's still bright for the Blue Jackets, especially if Korpisalo and Merzlikins can perform at a high level still. But for Tampa right now, I mean, it's all eyes set on the Cup. Now, Steven Stamkos is apparently not going to be ready for the start. Yeah, there you go. And actually, there you go. Dallas and, Dallas. Oh, shit, Dallas. What? Hold on a second there. Hold on a second. Shit, that game already started. Started early. Dallas is already up 2-1. I'm still siding with Colorado. But yeah, Stamkos isn't going to be ready for game one. That could be a decent difference maker, although with Braden Point and the way he's playing, who the hell knows. The big thing for the Bruins, of course, no Tuukka Rask, which again, if you shit on Tuukka Rask for prioritizing family over a sport, you're a scumbag. I'm sorry. End of debate. Do the Bruins still have Cup potential? Yes. Is it a little bit more difficult to see with Yaroslav Halak, even though Halak's been really good? Yes. I picked the Bruins at the beginning of the year to win the Stanley Cup, and not just out of favoritism, but because I believed they were going to be an amazing team. They won the President's Trophy. There's no doubt that they were an amazing team. They're still an amazing team. But we all know how big of a task Tampa is to try and get past at this point. However, I'm still siding with Boston, and I will tell you why. You look at this Lightning team, right? And without Stamkos, I mean, yes, dangerous? Absolutely. Here is why I cannot side with Tampa. You have Zach Bogosian. You have Zach Bogosian on defense. And I will never bet on a team that has Zach Bogosian on defense. No disrespect to Zach Bogosian, but yes, that's a disrespectful statement. And I also just don't know how healthy Victor Hedman is. And you can say what you want about how physical/dirty of a game that the Bruins play, but I just don't know if I believe that Victor Hedman is at 100% still. He wasn't at 100% last year, and he's had a couple of scary moments already this postseason, and I just don't know if I can bet on Tampa, knowing how important someone like Victor Hedman is to that team, and Andrei Vasilevsky. Correct me if I'm wrong here, and actually I want to take a look at his numbers, but if I'm not mistaken, I've heard a lot of Lightning fans voice their opinions and concerns about one Andrei Vasilevsky. And here, we'll just do the old copy and paste. What are Vasi's numbers at this point? There's only one site I'm going to, damn it, and that is EliteProspects.com. The best in the biz. Hey, he's got a 927. People were complaining about him? That must have been before the rest of the Blue Jacket series. Can Tampa win that series? Yes. Should they win that series? Probably. Am I siding with Boston? Yes. Am I siding with Boston primarily out of favoritism? Yeah. Yeah, I am. But I believe in my team and their ability to beat Tampa here. But again, the point remains, every single one of these teams could win this series. As a betting man, I'm going to side with Vegas, Colorado, Philadelphia, and Boston. But again, could Vancouver win? Absolutely. Can Dallas win? Absolutely. That's the best thing about these playoffs, I think, so far, is the fact that every single matchup has had that feeling of any team can win. And even the ones where you're like, oh, well, Edmonton's going to beat Chicago. You never know what's going to happen. So let me know what you think. As well, of course, for the fact that I've just been going round by round instead of predicting the whole thing. But I honestly find it to be a little bit more fun that way. But again, I mean, I had my playoff bracket out at the beginning of the year, and I stand by it with the Bruins winning it all. We'll see whether or not they're able to do so. Going to be some very fun series to watch. I'm out of here for now. Thank you for watching. And, yeah, goddamn, playoff hockey still going. It's almost September. It's so weird.